Wel, bore da. Bore da chi gyd. Mae fe'n lyflu bod yma, croeso cynnes iawn. Diolch yn fawr, lovely. Well, what an amazing word from Rob, where we had that first D about the discipline of the worshipper. And the title of the talk that I am doing is Thinking Brilliantly, because the D that I am going to address today is that of disposition. And if you look in the dictionary at what disposition is as a definition, it is this: a person's inherent qualities of mind. So this is the D we will be looking at, the disposition of the worshipper. And I want to start off by saying, you know, I believe so much, as I've been preparing for this message, it's like, I just can't believe, I just know that we're not here by coincidence today. That in this room, we are the frontline worshipping warriors for this nation in this hour. And it's almost like we are the 21st century Levites of our day. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Levites in biblical times were people like David and Asaph. And it was their daily job to invoke and praise and thank God. It was a daily devotion to the Father. And that's who we are in this room. And how can we, as his Levites, as his army of frontline worshippers in this nation, at this very significant time in this nation, be a people who are committed to having the correct disposition or having the mind of Christ? Because the truth is, you know, people from all across the world are genuinely looking to Wales. Because there's been so many words and so many just prophecies that have come about how God is going to move again in this nation. And we are the worshipping, frontline worshippers at this moment. And so one of the things we need to get in place is a correct disposition. There's this verse in 1 Peter 5:8, and it says, "Be alert and of sober mind, because your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." And that's like a warning. There, it's got the word mind. It says, be alert. May your mind be alert. Because do you know what? The devil, he comes and he prowls around your mind. He knows that a mind, our minds is a place where he can just come and throw rubbish all over it and get us down and attack us and like just tackle us to the ground so that we are taken out for what God is wanting to do in and through us for his glory in this nation. I read this quote the other day, and I love it. The attacks on your life have much more to do with who you might be in the future than who you have been in the past, because the enemy fears you becoming who he made you to be. And you know what? That's what the enemy is trying to do amongst us specific people in this room. He's trying to make our disposition so small and so lifeless because he fears the potential in this room. He knows the potential. He knows it. As some of you may know, I travel around, Wales and different places and meet a lot with people like you, worship leaders, people of the same call as us sitting in this room. And I asked 7 people close to me who are doing this sort of ministry, musician, worship leader, sound engineer, 7 different people. If they had them, what was their most honest, negative, go-to thought regarding themselves and their calling on a daily basis? As I asked them this, every single one of them were like, like I don't have them. Of course I do. And these were the genuine main responses. Often feel like a failure, often feel I can't do it, often feel like he or she is better than me, there's comparison involved, or I could have done it better. And the biggest one of all was I feel unqualified a lot of the time. And this is the enemy, prowling around in the landscapes of our mindsets, putting these thoughts in and trying to tackle us to the ground so we can't do the kingdom call that is upon us as his frontline worshippers. And you know, many of us are stuck in rhythms of unhealthy mindsets like these that determine our attitude, our direction, our motives, and our emotions. And we need to recognize that our mind is not a playground, it's a battleground. It's a battleground, and what can we put in place in order to stand in the battle? Now, I'm going to tell you a little story. So have we got any apple lovers in this room? Not like Golden Delicious, you know what I mean. Apple, yes, do we? Lovely. Well, I am a big Apple fan, and I've got to be honest, I love my iPhone 5C. Do you love it? Yeah. Now, when they brought it out, I thought, this is just brilliant. I mean, you can have all these colors. How fun for accessorizing with my outfits. So when I was choosing the model I wanted, I thought, what shall I go for? I was like, red is my favorite color, but I was like, oh, do you know what? That's gonna clash with my pink outfits. I actually think like this. So then I was like, maybe blue. I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. What about the green? It's a bit too neon. So in the end, I went with the white, you know, a bit classy. It goes with every single outfit. And I have been very happy with my little 5C. Now, I knew I was due an upgrade in about 3 or so months. However, the other week, Lady EE gives me a call. Not Mrs. EE herself, but, you know, a person from EE gives me a call. And she's like, Mrs. Woolridge, you have been such a loyal customer. We are going to give you an early upgrade. And I was like, flipping heck, this is amazing. Okay, now I'm not gonna lie, I have had my eye on this fine specimen of a creature. And so I was like, so excuse me, would this possibly be able to contain an offer of an iPhone 6? I said, oh yes, Mrs. Woolridge, it could. Now I'm ecstatic. I'm so ecstatic that I say, listen, I need to talk to my husband. Can you give me a call back in the morning? Put the phone down. Now, I didn't put the phone down to go and ask Di at all. This is what I put the phone down for. I was planning my new world of the iPhone 6. I was looking for my new cover. And I thought, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go leather this time. Even classier. And every girl who has a new phone with a new cover needs a new bag. Come on. And I've had my eye on this. It's Cath Kidston, leather vintage. Oh, yes. I was dreaming up all of that. I was happy days. Then a few hours later, Di comes home. We eat tea, probably about 5 minutes before I go to bed. That's when I ask him. No. And he says, that's fine. So anyway, the next day, she rings me back. And she's like, so, Mrs. Woolridge, have you thought about it? I was like, I've thought about it, yes. And she was telling me all these amazing things about how I had more mega pixels and all of that jazz, and whether I wanted a 16 GB or a 32 GB. I have no idea what all of this means. Anyway, I was just excited about my new bag and my new cover. And anyway, then I go and ask my questions, because I've got a little list of my questions. So I say, do I need to pay anything for this handset? I said, well, there is a little fee, Mrs. Woolridge. It's a fee of £100, which isn't much. I mean, compared to what you normally pay for it. So I was thinking, okay. And then I said, actually, I've been having some problems with my computer, and I've lost a lot of my photos. Would I be able to put all my photos from one handset, from the 5C to the iPhone 6? And she said, that should be fine. You may lose a few, but, you know, should be fine. I was like, okay, and what about number? Would I be able to remain with the same phone number? She said, well, yes, you can have the same phone number, but you would need a replacement number for 24 hours. Oh my gosh, I mean, a new number for 24 hours, people wouldn't be able to get hold of me. I was not liking that. So I was like, okay. Well, do you know what? I don't think I'll go for it. And I didn't go for it. And I think it's the same with our mindsets often. Because there's an upgrade waiting for us in our mindsets that is better, that's bigger, that's more dynamic. But I decided to stick with my 5C because I wasn't willing to pay the cost of £100 that I did have because it's recently been my birthday. How often does the enemy try and trick us back into old ways of thinking, into old dispositions that have been rhythms for so many years, telling us, look, it's comfortable. Just remain here because it's way easier than all the faff of making all the changes to my upgraded, phone set or our upgraded mindset. There's a cost. And the cost is devotion. It is devotion. The truth is, when we take captive our thoughts and make them obedient to Christ, every thought gets an upgrade in the generosity of God. Every single thought. But we need to be disciplined, that first D. We need to be in his presence with all of these difficult thoughts and these not right dispositions so that we can gain the upgrade that is there and available for us. And throughout his word, his living word, there are so many scriptures on this. And these are just some of the covenantal upgrades of mindsets that are promised and are available to us in Christ. We use our powerful God tools for smashing warped philosophies that pole themselves against the true knowledge of God. That's from 2 Corinthians. So what are those powerful God tools? Well, when we look at the armor, isn't it interesting that everything in the armor is defensive? So, the helmet, the shield, the breastplate of righteousness. The only offensive weapon is the sword of the Spirit. So, when it says here, we use our powerful God tools to smash warped philosophies that pole themselves against the knowledge of God, I believe it is getting into this. It is using our spirit sword to smash these thoughts down, to smash them down with truth. And I've got a little illustration here as well, because, when you travel internationally, you've got to go through passport control when you go to another country, don't you? And you're kind of waiting in that queue, and then you get to the passport woman, and I always feel like I'm some sort of a drug lord when I'm standing there, even though I've got nothing going on. I go beetroot red. It's like, what is going on? I promise I am not guilty. Anyway, I'm standing there with my, giving my passport, and she's kind of there looking at my passport, looking at me, looking at my passport, looking at me, looking at my passport. And I'm like, come on, I'm starting to have the shakes here. Anyway, she finally recognizes, yes, the girl on that passport is Cath Woolridge, and she is standing in front of me. And it's obvious to her because there I am standing and my picture is on the passport. However, that's not good enough to get me into that country. Because I don't know whether you realize, but the next thing that they do at passport control is they put your passport under this UV light, which in my mind, it goes into some sort of governmental ether to say whether I'm legit or not. And that's when the gate opens and I can go through. And you see, it's true with our thoughts. Because we have been locked in wrong dispositions for so long, they present themselves to us as real as I am standing there in front of that woman and she's got my passport. That's how real they become because it's been a rhythm that's been going on for so long. Thoughts like I'm unqualified that have been going on for so long. They look that real to us as that woman is looking at me. That's how real. But we don't stop there. What do? Before we let that thought process and gain access into our hearts, we need to pass them under the light. Only when we pass our thoughts under the light do we allow them access into the country and the landscapes of our heart. only then. This is our manner. This is our powerful God tool for smashing warped philosophies. And I'm not just preaching this to you. I am preaching this to me. I would say to you, one of my biggest struggles is my mind. It is a huge struggle for me. I struggle on a daily basis with thoughts like those ones that were up on the screen. Genuinely. They cripple me in some seasons. And what do I need to try? And I'm trying to get into this rhythm of getting that thought, I am underqualified. I failed there. I let that person down. I'm unqualified. No. If I'm in my renewed mindset and my renewed disposition according to my new self in who he is, I'm not underqualified. I am a daughter of the King. Not because of anything I've done, but because of all of who he is. We have the mind of Christ. It's in this sword. He says we can have his mind. I love this. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. These are our voice of God indicators. Are the thoughts that are coming in pure? Are the thoughts that are coming in peace-loving? Are the thoughts that are coming in considerate? Are they full of mercy? Etc., etc. These are also voice of God indicators. Are the thoughts that are coming in, are they, providing fruit of love and joy and peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, gentleness to ourselves and to others? Because if they're not, then it's not the upgraded mindset. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you may have life and have it to the fullest. The thoughts that we need to gain access into the landscapes of our lives are thoughts that bring life. Any thoughts that bring death are not from him. That's how you measure it. Be transformed by the renewing of your minds. Be transformed by the renewing of your minds. And this, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think upon these things. Think upon these things. Now I'm going to show you a little video clip now, and this is from one of my favorite films. It's called The Notebook. Now, boys, I know you love this film. You're just joking when you say you don't. It's a gushy romantic film, but it's awfully gorgeous. Now, the film is about Ali and Noah, and they fall helplessly in love when they're younger. And later on in the film, Ali, the lady, develops Alzheimer's. And she comes in and out of an awareness of who she is. And Noah is her husband. And we pick up this clip when she comes back into a little awareness of who she is and who he is. Take a look at the screen.
I remember now. It was us. It was us.
Oh, my darling. Oh, my sweetheart.
Oh.
I love you so much. Oh.
Noah. I love you, Andrew. What happened to me?
Nothing. You just went away for a little while.
How much time do we have?
I'm not sure. Last time it was no more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, I brought along an old friend.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart
are the children?
Oh, they're fine. They were here today. Little Noah, Dave, and E2. They're getting so big.
Oh, boy. How fast the time goes.
Mm-hmm.
Just flies right on by.
Oh, yes, it does.
Will you tell them I love them?
Of course I will.
And that I'm sorry.
I'll tell them, sweetheart.
In the morning sun, and when the night is new,
I'll be looking at the moon. But I'll
Remember that story you were reading to me?
Yes.
Do you think that I could be her tonight? Would that be all right? You know what we could do? Maybe we could get a car. We could go for a ride. We could get out of here and just go someplace. You want to?
I don't think so. Not tonight, darling.
Come on, why not? Wait a minute. Why did you call me darling? I don't know you. What's going on here? Am I supposed to know you?
Allie.
No. No! No!
Allie, sweetheart. Hey, Allie, I love you. Stay with me. Don't.
No! Who are you?
I'm Noah. I'm Noah, and you're Allie.
What do you want? What are you doing here?
Come on, baby.
Don't come near me! Don't you come near me!
Allie.
Help! Help! Help me!
Calm down, Allie. Calm down.
No!
Calm down, Allie.
No,
Come on.
not
It's all
you.
right, son. Come on.
No.
It's all right, baby. Come on.
Let me
Calm
go.
down.
No.
Calm down.
Leave me
Calm down,
alone.
Allie. It's all right.
Somebody help me!
Doctor.
You know, I do think that one of the schemes of the enemy is that he tries to get us into a place of spiritual Alzheimer's. A place where we are in and out of remembering who we are in him, who we're not in him. It's what's explained in James as a double-minded person. And it's no good for our souls, and it's no good for what God is wanting to do in and through us. Let's not be a people who are riddled with spiritual Alzheimer's. And you know what? The Father is a good Father. So like Noah, he will constantly pursue us, day in, day out. No matter, where we are in our mindset, he will constantly pursue us, constantly try and remind us of who he is. And in light of that, of who we are, he'll constantly do that. But we have the choice. Are we going to respond in this manner of spiritual Alzheimer's where we're sometimes living in his presence and sometimes we're just really not? Or are we going to diligently, devotedly seek him? Because do you know what? It says in Psalm 27, one thing I ask, one thing I seek, that I dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. Because that is what it is. It is a devoted life that brings about the divine disposition that we were made for. Let's not be a people who survive or exist, but who enter into the deep of his love. And it is costly, but it is so worth it. Let's be a people who fight by surrendering. And the fight isn't striving, the fight is surrendering. Surrendering to who we are in him. And then in his mercy, he just downloads the upgraded mindset. Because he's a good Father. And you know what? Everything God is doing in your life is about your freedom and your upgrade. Everything he does is. And God is in the business of tearing down mindsets that are against the true knowledge of who he is. And he will continue to do that every single day because he is Lord of your life. He loves you. You are his son and you are his daughter. And I think it's really interesting, the word that came earlier today, just as I come into land, about the deep. I didn't know that was a word that was going to come, and they didn't know that I was about to do this. But I really believe that God was saying to us today, come into the deep with me. And that is where I will give you the divine disposition. And this is something that actually about 9 months ago I was really challenged on, and I was sobbing over. And I wrote this poem, and I put images to it. It's called The Deep. This shallow end survival, comfortable, content, surviving in the shallow waters, but my soul's deep hurtles to a descent. This shallow is hollow, no substance. I wasn't made to be an empty vessel that when shaken, the world's lusts are all that I heard in this shell that's now me. Surviving in the shallow, I wasn't made for here. The diving board hovers aloof in my periphery, surely not up there. I mean, it's risky, right? Deep waters. What if I can't catch my breath? Then my mind skips a beat, remembering this survival feels more and more like death to my bones. I wasn't made for here. So the peripheral view of aloof diving board now becomes my reality. And my new peripheral seems somewhat too far down for my liking. The shallow waters beckon. But then surviving recollections soon hush out those shallow calls. But what if I can't catch my breath? What then? My soul's deep whispers subliminally. You were not made to survive, Cath. You were made to live. What kind of an answer is that? I repeat as the sweat literally drips off my forehead. What if I can't catch my breath? What if I can't catch my survival? I wasn't made to survive. I was made to live. So I jump. I'm now hurtling through the air, not knowing the result of what feels like the dumbest of decisions, with my mind on repeat. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? What if I can't catch my... And I hit the water. I'm now deep under, completely immersed, and my flesh may not be able to catch its breath. But the moment I hit the water, my soul's deep takes its first breath in what seems like forever. Survival obliterated. Life in its seedling beginnings. I was made for here. We were made for the deep. And my final thought is, the deep is a place where futile thoughts cannot survive because we are so overtaken by who He is and the reality of that. There's no room for them. It's in the shallow waters where these lies beckon us because they can float at our feet and we can see them and they grab our attention. But in the grip of His love, wrong dispositions will drown under the weight of His extravagant love and truth that pursues us every moment of every day. So I have made you all, well, I say I, Jazz cut these up, my darling Jazz, a bookmark to mark this moment. And we've got stations across the room for this little process time. And this just says, I was made for the deep. And Andrew's going to come up now and play for us. We're going to sing one song of response. But I would like you to go and grab one of these. And we've put markers out so that you can write your prayer on the back of it. You can write one of those verses that I listed, and they're on the tables as well, about our mindsets. That today we would become devoted to being drawn into the deep with Him, which is costly because it means allowing our breath to pitter out and allowing His to come forth. It requires a life of devotion. It requires a life that feeds day and night on this. But it is so worth it. He is calling us into the deep so that our wrong dispositions are exchanged for a divine disposition that is beyond anything we could ever dare to ask or imagine. let's smash down these warped philosophies. I'm not saying it's easy. I genuinely battle with this so much. So much. But I'm in it with him. And he's in it with you. So go and get your bookmarks. Give this time to God. Let's consecrate ourselves to go into the deep. And let's respond then by singing a song together.